me. I was watching Doechie's Grammy performance, and during it I was asking myself, why isn't she dating me? Music last year has been pretty amazing. And with this year, it keeps going. No, I don't know who Morgan Wallen, Jelly Roll, or Alex Warren is. Let me stay in my fragmented culture bubble engendered by the internet. FK Twigs, Ethel Cain, the posthumous Mac Miller album, Black Country New Road, Bon Iver, The Weeknd, Lady Gaga, Swans. This is future me, but the new Clips and Tyler the Creator albums are really good. This Playboy Cardi song that he decided to bless our ears with. He truly is music. And of course the phenomenal Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl performance, while Kanye is having a tantrum that the conversation isn't about him. I already checked out of Kanye after he did that Alex Jones interview and have distanced myself since then. His album that he decided to follow up with, Vultures, it's bad. Carnival, that TikTok Riz party song, it sucks. Garbage! And of course more anti-Semitism that I'm sure Kanye is very proud of. Easily his worst album. Or so I thought. You thought that was bad? Have you heard Vultures too? There's only one thing to do. It is pray. And those bully demos that he decided to release? Terrible. The whole album is him sampling the entirety of pre-existing songs without alteration or doing anything interesting. Even interpolating the same exact chorus melody of the very song that he's already sampling. The whole album is a AI Kanye simulating a rap verse for 1 minute while the rest of the sampled instrumental plays out for the rest of the song. Just listen to the original song. You might as well do an entire cover album. Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to blindly accept your failed, unfinished mediocrity that you've been shitting out for the past few years?
When you lay down and I gave you the scene, man, I swear I heard God, the voice of Morgan Freeman.
Unacceptable! The fans are eating this up. They are absolutely adoring the 1 minute and 30 seconds of Kanye spitting AI heat on an entire unaltered instrumental of an already established song. Truly generational. Beautiful art. A classic. Made me cry. I'm being really bitter about this. What's with the mocking? I care about music. We all care about music. I shouldn't put down people's passion and righteously take it from them. Okay, but I also care about quality. And my care of quality is telling me that the art is not worthy or deserving of love. The art is inadequate and undeserving of attention. And it's not a particularly righteous feeling. To the contrary, it hurts to see and to hear with my ears. I listened to Kanye in 2020 during COVID when I was 14. I'm currently 19 now. Appreciate the glow up. Kanye's music was some of the best I've ever heard. He inspired me like no musician had. I've always appreciated this childlike energy and his complete embracing of that essence. I commented this on a fan edit of Ghost Town. Look at this bootleg Kanye merch I have. I was in the Yeezy Cord and Yedit's Discord server so I can make my own fan edits. I was in deep, damn it! I still have entire Kanye leaked, scrapped albums that are still in my recycle bin. It doesn't feel right to have, but also, I worked on it. I spent time on this. It would be a waste, right? Also, I want to share this Kanye leak, which samples the BoJack Horseman theme.
You can't count each individual thing you missed as a different thing you have in common. That's like me saying I have a lot in common with Kanye West.
Who?
This original I'm in it line.
Rape you like I love you, fuck you like I hate you.
Also, whatever the fuck this is. Some of us are inspired by Kanye's mythology, inspired by his authenticity, determination, and success. He challenged cultures and norms. His perseverance is extremely admirable. So many of us don't want to let go of him because of how much he has meant to us in our own personal journeys. His music, his personality, and his story influencing us. We want to see a talented, authentic, and uniquely creative artist to succeed that is also leading with love, beauty, and kindness. We don't want our once underdog hero to be the cause of his own downfall and end in tragedy. But he isn't leading with love. And he isn't an underdog.
I am one with the people.
No, you're not. And in the end, his fall from grace was his own making. He's a terrible person.
Can I get you to give a shout out to all the peeps at Make-A-Wish?
Yo, what up to all the dying kids? What's up, y'all know y'all my dogs. And you know all dogs go to heaven.
That's awesome!
But it's not about me right now. It's about this dying Make-A-Wish kid, okay?
I could whoop the Make-A-Wish kid's ass.
Insulted Jay-Z and Beyonce's children. He's supporting and profiting off a predator and abuser. Re-released merch because Diddy's partner Cassie was wearing it in the domestic violence video, which is incredibly sick on so many levels. Justified the age of consent while having children. Featured his daughter Northwest with Diddy's son on a Free Diddy album. He justifies and admits to beating women.
Cause now I see women as something to nurture, not something to conquer.
He said he should have married Paris Hilton instead of Kim and had kids with Paris instead of her.
I didn't want to have children with this person after the first 2 months of being with her, but that wasn't God's plan.
I should have had babies with Paris Hilton over Kim Kardashian. You guys, could you imagine if I had kids with Paris Hilton? How many hotels I have now?
Kanye, how did you know that Kim was the one?
I saw on a paparazzi pic with Paris Hilton.
Which sucks for him because Paris Hilton's type definitely isn't Kanye.
We're like two niggers. We're like two niggers.
He celebrates Virgil's death, who died of cancer.
Virgil's in the ground.
Oh man, I gotta use the bathroom. Where's Virgil's grave?
He literally admits to being a shit person.
Feels like you still have a little bit of animosity there.
I'm evil.
You don't think about like his family and people?
I am an evil person.
Oh yeah, and he's also a Nazi, that thing. How could I forget?
But you better not mention Hitler.
Tight with my dough like my family Jews. I said Jews, my career is screwed.
That's one of my favorite things is like symbolism. You know, swastika, like in Asia, doesn't mean like Nazis.
And people look at me like I'm fucking insane. Like I'm Hitler.
They saying I'm acting like Hitler.
He's a bad person, and not only does he know it, he relishes in it. His fetish is shame and has incrementally become more addicted to it. Kanye was my favorite artist. Quick lightning round of Kanye's career history, even though you heard it a million times. Kanye made beats for other rappers, but wanted to be a megastar, so he set out to make his first album, but kept getting shut down by lame label people and got in a car crash, severely injuring him. But despite it, he made a song while his jaw was wired shut, and that song became his breakout hit. I know, super inspirational, right? College Dropout was a success.
If my manager insults me again, I will be assaulting him.
He then collabed with composer John Bryan for Late Registration, which is very cool. Love it.
Man, I tried to stop, man. I tried the best I could, but make me smile.
George Bush is racist. He made Graduation. He made Graduation.
I hate these niggas more than a Nazi.
Plastic surgery death of hip-hop artist Kanye West's mother.
His mother passed. This is widely believed, myself included, to be the catalyst event to his declining mental health. He has also blamed himself for his mother's death, which I imagine has had a devastating impact on him. He broke up with his fiancée not soon after, and made an album that future trap artists would worship years later, 808s and Heartbreak.
On this album, I kind of embody the character of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, which I really related to.
Fish Sticks, the Taylor VMA incident. Retreated to Hawaii, made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Trump taking dollars from y'all.
Kim and Kanye marry. Yeezys. Yeezus.
He's a black skin.
Head.
The Life of Pablo, an ever-evolving, ever-shifting project. Translation, the album was unfinished.
The Jews share their truth on how to make a dime.
While on the Pablo tour, he got news of Kim getting tied up and robbed.
I'm sorry, there's a family emergency. I have to stop the show.
Kept having breakdowns throughout the tour.
Jay-Z, I know you got killers. Please don't send them at my head. Just call me. Get ready, because the show's over.
Got hospitalized and got diagnosed as bipolar. Trump, slavery was a choice. Yay.
I'm a superhero.
I'm gonna put my Superman cape on.
Kitsy Ghost, which is excellent. He got religious to atone for his sins. Then came Yandi. No, just kidding. You get Jesus as King instead, which was not very good. But the Sunday Service Choir group is phenomenal. Ran for president in the 2020 election.
2020, I'ma run the whole election.
Kanye and Kim divorce. Donda. which I appreciate for what it is, and I still have nostalgic, beautiful memories with the album and rollout. But I still prefer the Donda 2020 demos. Sorry, not sorry.
Donda, Donda.
Skeet.
I'm the one who called you.
A live stream concert with mediocre music with broken mics. Anti-Semitism rollout with far-right grifters and Alex Jones. Nitrous. More mediocre music, but this time with AI. How original and innovative. Twitter. And now here we are. You got that? Good. Because now you can forget everything I just said. I'm just going to explore the ideas Kanye's actions present and nothing further. I'm not here to be like, did you hear what Kanye just said? Sorry, this isn't that kind of channel. What do you want from me?
Kanye is this guy that made the best beats, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he made the blueprint, but he's a nerd. He's a gay nerd. And they're like, this gay nerd makes the best, he makes the best beats. And he's like, but I want to be a rapper. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. He's just being ignored by people because they're like, a gay nerd can never be a rapper.
I think it's good that when I had my first complete blackout at age 5, my mom didn't fully medicate me because I might have never been yay.
Kanye is against seeking actual psychiatric help because he thinks that would hinder his creativity. People think he needs that mania to create good art and to properly function. So I guess he has to just keep being like that.
I'd rather be dead than to be on medication.
People have this strong belief in the tortured artist and the notion that suffering breeds creativity and is conducive to good art. I used to acquiesce to this belief for art and being thoroughly convinced. Of course, there is art that came from suffering and trauma that I love and appreciate, but a wrong takeaway from that is framing it as creativity coming from the pain rather than through it.
And this is part of the myth, I think. Van Gogh did suffer. He suffered a lot, but I think he didn't suffer while he was painting. He didn't need to be suffering to do those great paintings. The more you suffer, the less you want to create.
You can understand conflict, but you don't have to suffer in it. And you can get ideas from it. You don't have to suffer to show suffering. You don't have to die to show a death scene.
Well said, the late great David Lynch.
Get real.
Oh yes, creating art out of love rather than out of pain is healthier for you. And that's important. But I also think it makes the better art. Did Kanye construct Twisted Fantasy because of his pain? Or did he construct it out of love for art?
Your panic attack did not help you edit that.
Kanye's pain didn't create the art. His love and autonomy did. Now look at Cuck. Kanye got Dave Blunt's, this guy. Kanye directed Dave to write the lyrics of the whole album about his anger, fears, and pain, and slapped AI Kanye on top of it.
Yeah.
We know how much sadness and hate is currently brewing in Kanye right now.
I got so much anger in me, got no way to take it out.
His hate, his sadness, and fears that fuel him results in him creating awful art. When you prioritize your needs to validate yourself, to reconcile your pain and the ugly aspects of yourself, you really just end up with an incohesive, self-indulgent, inadequate project. You aren't contributing something outside of yourself. You aren't contributing to art well. Sometimes centering your art to be around yourself does not yield excellent art. Kanye's recent output has been very sloppy. I'd even include Donda. You can hear that his heart isn't in it anymore. He's lost his passion and commitment to quality and music. You shouldn't be aiming for attention, you should be aiming for quality. To give our time and soul into something beautiful.
I don't do anything for the money. I do it just to do something really good and to work really hard at it. That's kind of all I've ever tried to do on stage, is like do really well, like, you know, crush it.
And what Kanye is doing is being completely subsumed in a shroud of irony, envy, spite, ego, insecurity, and hatred. Such qualities cause you to avoid accountability and responsibility. You're too much of a worshiper of your own hedonism to reconcile with your actual pain. That essence of pursuing art is tainted by these emotions, and what comes out of it is something that is ugly, warped, and twisted. Obviously, no one wants to admit that they create art to comfort their pain and insecurities. But what other reason are you revealing your art to the world for? To not be seen? To hope that nobody understands you? No! We're sharing and communicating our souls.
I don't hate to say this, but it's true. I want your approval. I want you to like what I do. I don't want you to walk out, well, that sucked. I hate his guts. I don't want that at all. I want the exact opposite of that.
But what if we strip the whole audience aspect away. What is left? You think Kanye in his current status would continue to make art if he didn't have an audience? Is performing to the idea or potential of an audience enough for you? Do you still see the point in it if you aren't the centerpiece of your art? Is why you're making it rooted in your anxiety and lack of self-esteem? Do you feel that without art you'll be worthless and not matter to anyone ever? Of course you want to be famous. Of course you want to be wealthy and powerful with your paradigm-shifting art that people will adore and love you forever. It's not a secret. Everyone sees you for what you are. Humility is a lie. But it's normal and okay to feel this way. But know that it doesn't have to determine your values and artistic intuitions. Don't let it decide how you make your art. You may tell yourself that you're a failure and you'll never be enough. But when encouraged and validated for your work, your internal insults toward yourself will go away for a bit. And you don't realize it until it returns again in relentless fashion, and the whole cycle repeats. This method of engaging with art never works. Do not base your self-worth on your accomplishments. Say it with me. Do not base your self-worth on your accomplishments. Wealth, fame, and recognition doesn't aid your issues as much as it helps make it harder for you to recognize the degradation of your spirit. You don't care about art. You care about art's rewards. Despite achieving glory, you still have to live with yourself and the responsibilities that you poorly ignore. Oh, congratulations. You've achieved the recognition for your work. Be proud of the adoration you've accrued. Now you have proven that your existence is valid and has earned the elite privilege to matter. Now you have to continue to live your life. Are you finally happy? Look at celebrities. Are they happy? The subject of this video, Kanye, do you think he's happy?
Do I look happy? Do I look happy to you?
This addictive striving for validation won't quell your self-hatred. It will continue to consume and poison your soul. It doesn't matter how much tangible external validation you achieve. You will never be satisfied.
Checking Instagram comments to crowdsource my self-esteem.
Reevaluate your motives. Reevaluate why you make things and express them. Is it out of desire to participate in beauty and connection? Is it out of fear to alleviate the ugly aspects of yourself? Creativity or passion isn't simply a response to your fears and insecurities. We don't create things or enact in things only because we want to feel good about ourselves. Not every action we take is always for our own ego, no matter what, and it's actually impossible to do things solely for others.
As Hubert Selby said, just don't let your ego get in the way. Tell the truth.
Again, it's okay to want the glory, the attention, want the validation. I just made this channel. I know I do, but it needs to be subordinate to your true cognitive purpose of why you're making art. You make art because art is valuable. Art demands to be discovered and to be experienced. Art existed before you, and you don't serve it better by harming yourself. Art isn't your suffering, nor is it the end product that you suffered for. It is the beautiful event that you and the audience share together. Remember, art requires you, and it requires the best of you to thrive and to exist for others to experience. So please, take care of yourself. Learn to love yourself, as you must recognize your own value to share value. That is the step you must take to serve art and others well and beautifully. Please take your medication for your health and for excellent art. Sorry, my brother has been playing the Evangelion theme very loudly on piano. Sorry about that. I know people want to see the funny Kanye tweets and antics to point and laugh at him and make memes out of. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to humor any of his tweets or his antics. I'm only going to engage with them if they're relevant. They all simply serve to be shocking and has lost its novelty anyway. Okay, I actually like this one. This one's pretty good. But no, you shouldn't be enchanted by his tweets, his antics, or his songs, or anything. He wants to garner attention and to piss people off, and he does it with a gleeful, spiteful, shit-eating grin. I can see why his antics may interest and enchant others, and admittedly, sometimes it amuses me as well. The statements and music he has made as of recent are so blatantly ludicrous and absurd in just concept. So I understand if you're entertained by his absurd reactionary behavior. It's like observing Charlie Sheen around 2011.
All these radio rants have people thinking Charlie Sheen has got to be on drugs again.
Sure. Yeah, I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen. They've been like suddenly labeling me an anti-Semite.
Some are saying that you're bipolar.
Wow, what does that mean? And then what? What's the cure? Medicine? Make me like them? Not gonna happen. I'm winning. I win here and I win there. Now what? If I'm bipolar, aren't there moments where a guy like crashes and like in the corner like, oh my God, it's all my mom's fault? Shut up. Stop. Move forward.
It's stupid and ridiculous and funny, and I get it. But also, That's the issue, isn't it? Being passive and apathetic toward it, like this is okay. It's so easy to point and laugh at how crazy he's acting, yet that's still what he wants. You're still giving him attention. Keep mocking, keep being angry, keep giving your attention away. And I know what you guys have been mocking. I'll get to that later.
How you fuck your brother, I think that's incest.
I recommend you to abstain and ignore. But it's incredibly conflicting. Yes, it can be hilarious and entertaining, especially with someone as horrible as Kanye. We get immense schadenfreude from his pain, which is why we retaliate by mocking him. We get a righteous, dignified feeling when terrible people who are above us socially get to be punished for their pride and avarice. He deserves it, right? But by mocking his irreverence with more irreverence, you're still rewarding this performative offense. He still has your attention. He's easily shareable and memeable. We're as addicted to his pain as Kanye is addicted to the internet. More attention, more engagement. He's perfect for the medium. No wonder he keeps crawling back to the internet. It's practically tailor-made for him. That's another thing, is how we've adopted this reactionary, edgy attitude that's been enhanced by the internet. We lost the reverence we had for art and for artists. What once was a humbling, sacred experience now has been profaned, desensitized, and detached beyond recognition. Because the internet is our mode of communication, and the medium's current system is this weird, libertarian, democratic, say whatever you want thing, we've eroded the boundary and any semblance of respectability and empathy. Integrity has been at a lost virtue for a hot minute. Everyone has access to the internet, whether it be your mom, your dad, or the president and Kim Kardashian. We can talk shit directly to celebrities and powerful political figures and mostly get off scot-free. And I think it's a responsibility as an audience to advocate for a return to that cultural reverence. So then, I think the viable solution to this issue that we have in our current culture is combating it with sincerity. No ironic mockery, no performative shock and outrage, just compassionate sincerity while still holding them accountable. Like, actual accountability. Not this cancel culture bullshit that doesn't even work anyway, but that's a different topic for another time. The way we treat celebrities is important, because despite what a lot of people say and how we shouldn't look to celebrities for opinions or their politics, no matter what they say, and even if I somewhat agree to a certain extent, this criticism sorely misses the fact that these people control culture. They have undeniably a detrimental responsibility in handling their position in culture. And unfortunately, such a position was granted to Kanye. Mr. West, you are a culture creator. You influence and mold it. If used irresponsibly in such a position, that is a sin. You possess the ability to influence and control culture. It's not about doing whatever you want. It's your fucking job. You have to be a professional. You can't live in this delusional fantasy where you're this measly artist and, you know, you're only serving entertainment and you're doing whatever you think is fun because you think it's cool or funny. You impact real people. This has fucking consequences. You have the capability to build something valuable, yet you spend your wealth, time, and soul in creating whiny Nazi shitpost songs and using your voice and power to spread hateful bigotry and to aid a child rapist sex trafficker. As a father, fuck you. I do not trust nor respect you as an artist if you cannot abstain from your impulses and cannot honor your position responsibly. Stop posting, stop engaging, stop performing, and create the fucking art. And actually put some effort and finish the art this time. You haven't done it in years. Kanye, whether you view it as a positive or negative, isn't afraid to say whatever he wants to say. He isn't afraid to look stupid.
I ain't got a problem with looking stupid.
He stands by what he says and tells it how it is and never compromises. Until he's over it and then returns to those sentiments again at some point. Kanye derives joy from angering everyone around him, yet it still bothers him at the same time.
They don't understand the things I say on Twitter.
He says whatever he finds funny with this detached irony, and then complains people don't understand him and don't take his struggle seriously. Yeah, it's true. We will not accept you for who you are. You don't get to say or do whatever you want. You have to be respectful to others and obey the cultural rituals that facilitate maturity and dignity. Boo-hoo. Unfortunately, the internet has made it so that you don't feel the boundaries and allows people like Kanye to act like whiny, petulant babies without restriction. Why are you acting so cruel? Why can't you accept other people's truths? Do other people's perspectives not account for you? Is the most important value speaking your truth, no matter what, especially when they tell you not to? Is that what is more real to you? Does only you exist and you can only trust yourself to discern what you observe? Why can't you trust that other people truly exist and be present with them? Fuck off, Descartes. Kanye seems to live in contradiction, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily incohesive either. Two things can be true at the same time. You aren't naturally gifted to possess authenticity, and then everything you do is automatically honest and raw.
But I'm not strategic. I just lean into what I really feel, and I say my truth, and whatever comes with it, comes with it. But my truth is so obvious to so many people because people are not allowed to say their truth, to the point where they psych themselves out to think it's not true.
Authenticity is arrived at by communicating well, aiming for understanding by using mindful words and actions. You know, actual thought. Authenticity still requires effort, consideration, and integrity. It's not blurting whatever you think without mediating it. People conflate these things way too much. It's not brave or noble to say whatever you think in however way you want, stubbornly holding on to your perfect authenticity without consideration or thought. Sometimes authenticity requires you to be thoughtful and sincerely attentive with how you express and communicate. Authenticity isn't an unwillingness or refusal of challenging yourself.
And then, so I'm not saying people's truth, I'm saying people's feeling now. Because your truth can be told to you, you could be programmed, but your gut is gonna have millions of lifetimes of information. So when I go and I tweet, especially now, I'm speaking to people's gut feeling.
The belief that society's purpose is to suppress and discourage your individuality, and you must always fight society, is an attractive belief, but never challenging who you are is a direct attack on change, on process, on living. Indulging in yourself unabashedly isn't as courageous as you think it is. It's not whatever your ego thinks you are.
I want to take this cup and throw it right now. I have every right to, I should. You know, I mean, that we see it with children. That's not happiness. That feeling of having to obey every impulse and gratify every desire seems to me to be a strange kind of slavery.
In populated spaces, you are required to follow social rules, and these rules define what that space is and what it tries to achieve. You can't be your full self in these spaces, or even to a person that you just met, but that isn't a flaw. It's a part of interaction, but you may still feel like you are compromising something, and you don't find that fair, and you only feel like you can only be your true, authentic self when you aren't interacting with anyone, and society is an enemy that must be constantly defeated every day. Okay, sure, I see that perspective, but also, you don't have to wrestle with life to possess value. This framing of life just isn't a healthy way of living. It's the fetishization of authenticity as virtue. Just emotional discharge. Saying what I think, telling it how it is, speaking my truth, even and especially when everyone tells me not to, no matter what.
Yo, this is the real me. I'm off the meds. Take them.
But no, the truth of what you express is the effect of that essence. What are you actually trying to achieve? If you want to unite and find common ground and actually build something valuable, you wouldn't be having this immature truth to power attitude, but that's not what's actually happening. If your goal was to unify and communicate, you have failed. Truth is not free speech, democratically speaking your mind on what you think without intent and calling it bravery. People think truth and authenticity is free speech and honesty and yelling at each other. Truth is more complex than the correspondence to factor honesty. Truth is virtue. Truth is revelatory. Truth and your expression of it is what the effects and said truth achieves. Truth isn't stagnant. It's not this threshold you must reach and you can tangibly breach, or raw information that you can just absorb. Truth is process. You're allowing it to change you, to improve. It's you, flowing and ever-changing, truly living. That's where truth resides.
Truth isn't a place that can be arrived at. Maybe it's an organism that changes the longer it's observed.
Because the opinions Kanye decides to spout depends on how the current culture is, his values are going to be inconsistent and contradictory by proxy. So if every belief and statement he holds is dependent on if it's outrageous at this point in time and culture, is he being authentic, speaking truth to power, talking his truth, especially when they tell him not to? Or is he being a petulant little bitch with way too much fame and money? He's mindlessly contrarian without concrete reason. I don't think Kanye is being authentic, because I don't think Kanye believes in anything. The only thing he believes is that attention makes him feel good feelings, and so he follows that truth. The things he thinks he believes are his beliefs because it's what is convenient to him. He doesn't tell it how it is. He tells whatever will get the most reactions at a certain time. Ironically, he's whatever culture wants him to be. He's not a sincere person, and he probably never was. Did he actually mean what he meant when he called out George Bush? Or did he say that because he knew that the conversation would be about him?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Kanye may complain about how he's being silenced by big media and globalist reptoids of Zog, but despite said complaints, I think he actually does like his constraints and restrictions. It gives him something to be defined about.
Even though it sings about not liking the cage, it really likes it in there.
Even if it's a protest against or about nothing.
To Kanye and people like him, it's not actually about being smart or intelligent or wise or knowledgeable. It's about having the audacity to be loud and opinionated regardless of the quality of one's opinions.
He's so invested in these beliefs and statements he's barely knowledgeable of, but that doesn't matter to him, as his ideology allows him to follow the truth of gratification, of being provocative and having all eyes on him, because it's easier, it's more funny and amusing. This kind of thinking and attitude, this ideology is very influential in internet culture and popular culture as a whole. Proverbs 18:2, fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions. The fool not only wants to debase the boundary, they insist upon it. If there is no taboo, there is no boundary to break. Even if the taboo itself is enjoyable, it still implies that it requires a boundary for the taboo to exist in the first place. It is honorable and noble to avoid needless strife, and foolish to repeatedly seek conflict. Kanye's ironic disposition is his expression of dissatisfaction with his life and being enmeshed in its confines. There's this false sensation of control that you think you have over your own special individual life when wielding the weapon of irony. With irony, you are...
He did this. It made me a freak.
You can engage with anything with anyone, no matter how controversial. Projection without visible shame. Things that the sheeple, the normies, wouldn't even touch because they're so afraid. But not you. You're brave. You're willing to defy such controversial topics and norms that you find stupid and absurd. Look at these idiots I'm triggering with my words. They've committed the sin of daring to care about something. Quick, mock them and pride yourself on how much attention you're getting. I'm so clever. I'm so ahead of the curve. No. You're a passionless coward. What are you even responding to that you declare that you are defying? What kind of cultural and political response are you trying to make when you rep Nazis while wearing black KKK hoodies? Or making ironic shitpost music about being a fascist, supporting predators, beating women, and saying slurs because you think it's edgy and funny to you? Why are you treating your childhood trauma and drug addiction as a joke? Because it's so much funnier and easier to act like a baby? Where's this transgressive edgy behavior getting you? A rebel without a cause.
In the US, there's a strange situation where, in some respects, humor and irony are political responses and they're redemptive, particularly in popular entertainment. Irony and a kind of dark humor can become a way of, it's pretending to protest when it really isn't.
We're all ensnared by our bubble of fragmented cultures, consuming everything at the same time. So many opinions and value systems, you might as well throw them in the can and become detached with no principles other than nothing and no one matters. I'm going to support a child rapist sex trafficker and say I'm a Nazi for the sole reason that it's funny and everyone's looking at me and talking about me. I'm only here to serve me and only me. We are all 8-year-olds when on the internet. It's such an ugly, apathetic attitude that we've contributed to cultivate. Why face accountability and choose responsibility when you can say ironic, irreverent jokes, which are so much easier and funnier? Why face reality and possess the concern for others when the current value system is narcissism, attention, and spectacle? Embrace its addictive, hollow, ephemeral treasures. How dare people care about something? Laugh at how stupid people are for daring to be passionate. I'm above that. Laughing's more fun than feeling the overwhelming despondency over your own actions and consequences. It's all relief as it slowly kills you internally and externally.
There are things we know are right and good and would be better for us to do. But constantly it's like, yeah, but you know, it's so much funnier and nicer to go do something else. And who cares? And it's all bullshit anyway.
You weren't ironic until your sincere approach to reality was beaten down to a bloody pulp and was buried alive, laid to waste. It's so much easier to detach yourself from people and reality and declare, I'm a Nazi. Okay, I'm not anymore. I'm over it. Or am I? Same with Dave Blunt's Jewish people hoard money.
Got Jewish money?
No. Hitler bad.
Fuck it.
It's such a common attitude with people on the internet of having this weird, ironic disposition about everything without any true conviction. It reeks of cowardice. The ambiguity is the point. What are they without their edginess and irony? If we strip that all away, what is actually left? When you encounter a similar circumstance, instead of outrage or mocking, approach it with sincerity. Begin to question, why are you saying that? Truly. What's with the back and forth? I want to know what you really stand for. Genuinely.
You gotta, like, listen, man, you gotta be like a human being about this.
People who are dying in the war, which to me is a tragedy, because war is a
Do
tragedy.
you feel in your heart that this is what you're saying is right?
If Hamas...
And I guarantee you, you will see and realize that there's just nothing there. There's nothing.
It's hard for me to talk about this in public because you're being a dick. That's mean.
No.
Me saying this to you right now will hurt people in my own family. Okay? Because this is a very important thing to us. And the fact that I still fucking care about being Jewish is embarrassing. I should just be a guy. But this feels like a stain on our history. And it feels like it's changed what being Jewish is. Because what being Jewish is isn't Israel. Judaism has existed for 4,000 years. This is a country for 75 years. People in my life are going to be mad at me about this, but I'm saying this because I am Jewish. I want to.
I feel like I'm here to be lectured, not.
Shut up. That's not nice. You can't talk that way. What happened? You went to the beach in Israel? What? You went to a restaurant or something?
Yeah.
A nice restaurant?
No.
Like.
You took away their irreverent jokes and their slurs, their irony, their pop culture. You quickly realize that that's where the depth of their character ends. These people aren't pushing boundaries of free speech or going against the status quo. They have no thought or intention. They have nothing. You need consideration, effort, and integrity to actually express authenticity and to be authentic. Instead of living on the internet in far-right ironic detachment, you should take your meds, serve God, and take responsibility for your family and community. But no, it's much easier and funnier to make harmful, lazy AI shitpost music than respecting your position as a father and culture creator.
You will put the internet before your family. You know what? You deserve to drive a Camry.
Just because being sincere and considerate hurts doesn't mean you should avoid it. There's something to learn there, and that's valuable. Many things are hard and require patience, but are still valuable nonetheless, often because of it. I recommend to not hide behind a lame, ironic joke and take things seriously for once. You might like it. Loving and the risk of expressing that is what sincerity is. Being brave enough to love someone means allowing them to see you and possibly hurt you. Putting your vulnerability, insecurity, and fears out there is brave. It takes actual strength to express and share your heart to others. What are you actually contributing toward other than to comfort the worst parts of yourself? Why must you exert such ugly, thoughtless discharge toward the vacuous digital void? Why do you need this instant gratification of engaging and expressing to an audience that doesn't truly know you? Why is it that you can't be present? Why can't you simply sit with yourself and with your genuine feelings?
It seems significant that we don't want things to be quiet ever anymore. That seems to me to have something to do with when you feel like the purpose of your life is to gratify yourself and get things for yourself and go all the time.
You can keep making your little provocative, detached, ironic jokes, mocking those who care, but you're still living your life. You're still miserable. Are you making it worth it? It's more brave to be vulnerable, allowing yourself the possibility of being hurt, than this cowardice shield of impenetrable irony. To handle adversity and struggle is to not hide behind it with self-awareness that lacks valuable accomplishment, but to embrace and possess the courage to do the best you can. And no, that is enough. Resentment of sincerity and honesty kills your soul. Allow yourself to be earnest and let others truly see you. You're brave and passionate. You can do it. Honorable people are those who aren't afraid to be vulnerable and admit their faults and fears and still have the courage to do the best they can and be grateful for the beauty in their lives, despite current adversity and existential dread. What are you without the attention to mean nothing to people as much as other people mean to you? Your utter worship of hubris and arrogance is astounding. I'm not confident in saying that this weird, ironic, postmodernist culture we're living in is why things are worse. More so, it just defines what our culture is. Irony isn't making our culture worse. Irony is our culture. The current value system is attention, and to achieve that is by being provocative and transgressive. In this contemporary age, quick, impulsive, flippant, irreverent irony is what's rewarded. It's what gets attention, and attention is currently our most valued currency. It's sad because Dave Blunt knows why he's famous. He knows people are laughing at him. Not just his songs, but his physical appearance. But that doesn't matter to him, and he so obviously leans into it with his edgy, irreverent lyrics. Just as long as he's getting attention, everything else is secondary. Integrity isn't considered a virtue for everyone. When culture is defined by attention, irony, and memes, of course our leader is going to reflect that. You want to actually make things better? Stop being detached and be passionate and sincere. Quit the internet and create valuable connections with people that you love and value. That's punk! That's what it means to be counterculture, bitch! The internet rewards this reactionary, polarizing behavior. It's how it thrives. It's how it can profit off of your attention. As the internet has become our new medium of living, this has become culture. We aren't having conversations anymore. We're all just trying to end discourse with provocative memes and one-liners. We're all throwing fortune cookies at each other and we call it a discussion. We call it politics. It's all emotional discharge. It's feelings and insecurity. It's performance. And it taps into our most primal inclinations. It influences the absolute worst parts of us. So of course this attracts Kanye, who's currently having his edgy, ironic, alt-right 4chan user face at the near age of 50. But I mean, so are Andrew Tate and any mainstream internet influencer who are the ones controlling culture. Kanye, truly exemplary of the current state of our polarizing culture. Kanye's someone who lacks discipline and control and has always loved attention. And it certainly doesn't help that this is the culture that his career grew up with. And then you realize Kanye got famous during when the internet was evolving into our new extension of reality and another mode of communicating. Kanye isn't only one of the most prominent mega celebrities of our time. He's patient zero of what it means to be one in the 21st century.
Our digital devices and the outlooks they inspired allowed us to break free of the often repressive timelines of our storytellers, turning us from creatures led about by future expectations into more fully present-oriented human beings. The actual experience of this nowness, however, is a bit more distracted, peripheral, even schizophrenic than that of being present. But like a dose of adrenaline or a double shot of espresso, our digital technologies compensate for this goalless drifting with an onslaught of simultaneous demands. Yes, we may be in the midst of some great existential crisis, but we're simply too busy to notice.
This is where I go on a tangent about the internet. Better get used to it. I'll be talking about this a lot. The internet is also mostly what I complain about in my personal life. Unfortunately, most of internet culture is popular culture. I know, it surprised me too. The internet for a lot of people is where we spend most of our time, and how you spend your time is your life. The 21st century is a very aesthetic century. The current state of culture is a spectacle and performance. This is certainly not the age of reason. Kanye is truly representative of the extremities of our current culture. He displays and represents the worst of the internet, the most immature and toxic traits. Thoughtless, transgressive, indulgent, and attention-seeking. Complete decadence, sensationalism, egocentricity, bizarre, artificial, perverse, exotic sensations and experiences. Tell me that this isn't what our culture is defined by. I'd love to see you argue otherwise. Quick art tangent. Kanye has released incomplete demos and entire albums to the audience to generate attention and hype rather than actually working and finishing on the actual art. It really muddles the art process, and the relationship with the audience. Let the audience actually wait for the art. Limit their access, don't let them peek behind the curtains. Allow your audience to experience the beautiful moment of realizing you've released your uncompromising finished art to the world. You need to be patient and allow yourself to sit with your body and thoughts. Only return to performance when you actually have a finished art piece or something thoughtful to say, instead of this discharge of things that you need to air out without actually sitting with your emotions and letting the art speak. Sure, this could all be one big performance art piece where it's a once respected artist now having a midlife crisis from mental illness and fame, and it's a fascinating character study, but is that what you really want? For your antics to overshadow your actual intentional art? For no one to actually know or understand what you're communicating? Respect your role as an artist and respect your audience enough to not try to constantly interact with them. They won't satiate that lonely void. The amorphous, abstract digital blob that is your audience isn't your therapist. It's not your role. It's not yours either. And you, as the audience, after you've experienced the art, sit with it and properly process the art instead of immediately making a reductive, thoughtless social media post about it. It's made us more desensitized because we get to see these powerful, influential figures in the same medium that we use, and we get to insult them to their faces with provocative means without consequence, usually. Also, on another note, stop the Kim Kardashian hate. I'm not too fond of rich people either, but don't blame her and her family for ruining Kanye's mental health. It's fucking disgusting, and I think she deserves props for actually being invested in her children's lives and truly being there for Kanye during their relationship. Shut the fuck up and hold a man accountable for fucking once. The division between the performer and audience has been completely blurred. It's easier now, more than ever, to engage with the performer. Kanye lives in Twitter, engaging with his audience, tarnishing the little mystique he has left for some short-term gratification. Celebrities aren't exclusive and elusive as they used to be. Now, you have the potential of an audience that you perform to. We've adopted the position of celebrities, the medium of performance, democratized for all. Now imagine Kanye scale. For someone like him who lacks self-control and is subservient to his ego, the internet is irresistible. There isn't a boundary between the audience and the performer. Performing on the internet is so connected to our lives that there is no difference between in or out of the internet. Kanye knows his position in culture. He knows the level of scrutiny he faces is immense, never seen before in history in our internet media landscape that the mass majority of people are on every day. He's lived and dealt with this for most of his life at this point. His career has grown up with the internet and the 21st century values that the internet exacerbates. For someone as huge and mentally ill as him, of course he would be paranoid and a little warped. I had quite the parasocial relationship with Kanye. I'll be honest, as embarrassing as this to say, especially now, I looked at him as a father figure. His personality, determination, and his successful, excellent art, along with his unwavering confidence, was the most impactfully inspirational thing any artist has done to me. But he was never my friend. He shouldn't have been my father figure. With the internet, it's so easy to see the worst of people rather than the absolute best. It's difficult more than ever to appreciate art solely for the art. Kanye right now, and a lot of people don't actually care about the art, but they more so care about what they can gain from art. It's a very twisted way to perceive and engage with art, and I have no respect for it. It's no longer about the art. It's about your brand. Not to say that brands are inherently bad. As an artist, you do need brands for the audience to grasp onto so you know that you are communicating yourself properly. But it can't be only that. The art isn't made to orbit around the brand. The brand is a constituent of the art. It's not about you, it's about art. But with the internet, it requires a strong discipline to maintain this practice. And such discipline was never Kanye's strong suit. Or even most people's. Have you seen how most people behave on the internet? How do you expect celebrities, let alone Kanye, to possess restraint? Apparently not to post online means to not be alive. Streamers nowadays influence youth culture. And as we've established, the internet is popular culture. Popular culture is youth culture and is the dominant prevailing influence, and the rest gets left behind. The future is now, old man. And Kanye isn't the first to recognize this. It seems entertainment industries now are trying to have a transactional relationship with those in internet culture, as they know if they can get inside it, then they too can have influence as well. It used to be big marketing bullshit, but now it's building a parasociality with your audience. The deep parasociality is the marketing. This is what the industry has mutated itself into. The platform's priorities and infrastructure is based on the lack of distance between the performer and the audience. And how much parasociality is built with people on a screen. You feel like you know them, as if they are your friend. Also, the internet has given us unlimited porn, which Kanye has made transparent that he is very addicted to. He did host the Pornhub Awards.
All this boredom turned me to a fucking cum. They served us the porn since the day we was born.
I was gonna write a whole section on internet porn addiction and its profound effects, but I didn't know where to put it in this video, and this video is long enough, so... Culture wars! Everybody seems to be doing them despite it being completely worthless and provides absolutely zero value to discourse and humanity. The mainstream discourse of politics seems to be bifurcated in two ways. You know, there was once a time where leftists were the one triggering the snowflakes and fighting for free speech and democracy. And by contrast, the right were the group being offended and were the ones trying to preserve integrity and decorum. But now, because of the internet, that's completely flipped around. The modern chronically online left, or the mainstream left, prioritizes empathy and inclusion, and are staunchly against bigotry, which on paper sounds great and utopian, right? But instead, what you have is people performing virtue and appearances, regurgitating buzzwords and phrases that they themselves don't actually understand or internalize. And when people don't acquiesce to the same beliefs that they rattle off of, they will perform righteousness and revulsion to your character, and will cut you off as fast as they can to protect their peace. It becomes a competition of who's the most oppressed and who's the most virtuous and righteous.
Oppression Olympics. Let's go.
There's no understanding, no compassion, or communication. It just becomes this childish, immature attitude and strict ideology that makes a convenient excuse to never face accountability and remain in your safe cliques because it's easier than thoughtfully engaging with people with beliefs differing from your own. We know we're right, and we want to flaunt it as we frustratingly complain that nobody sees the truth like we do. We're lonely and we want to belong. We desire community and we want to feel powerful for once. So we've culturally set these rules of tolerance, but ironically we've become irrationally intolerant to taboo ideas that we shallowly deem right-wing and harshly discard them that would otherwise spark meaningful long-form discussion and a healthy balancing of values. Because of the strict oppressive culture that the chronically online mainstream left has cultivated, the right recognized this and jumped at the opportunity to co-opt the culture of irreverence and reactionary offense with a vaguely ironic veneer. Oh, you tell me now that I can't offend anyone anymore? Well, we're gonna do that because you tell us that we can't do that. We're gonna be as crude and crass as possible and say slurs and blame women and minorities for all our problems to challenge this woke censorship. The right has now taken the left's place of being the offenders, no longer prioritizing respect or decency. Punks during the 70s used to wear swastikas in the name of free speech, irony, and reactionary sensations. Conservatives are now spouting slurs and fascist rhetoric in the name of, you guessed it, irony, free speech, and reactionary sensations. The attention to comedy reigns supreme. The whole swap of cultures does give some credence to the horseshoe theory. Not all of it, but some. To prove that popular culture is internet culture, I think everyone can agree that this is where culture and discourse is at. And what it has increasingly been for nearly a decade at this point. We retaliate against the opposite side by getting angry and mocking them, but aren't we all playing the same game? Owning the libtards or mocking how stupid maggots are. This isn't how you have a fucking discussion. It's just feelings and addictive performance, and they are profiting off of this engagement, this polarization and addiction. Negativity is extremely addictive, and it really blinds you to the beauty life offers and is really good at selling you that humanity is hopeless and most people aren't insightful and good-hearted. When that is not the case, but it's what's being algorithmically pushed, it's what gets attention, and that attention is profitable, and it makes it seem as if negativity is the world's totality. The internet is extremely effective in flattening reality and the world into an irredeemable, irreparable monolith. As the youth say, we are not cooked. Nobody wins whether or not the left or right has funnier TikToks or tweets. I don't want to talk about these economic and cultural issues in post-ironic jokes or in tweets or in short TikTok videos. Stop having these discussions through the internet. How we fight, defend, and prevail is to pursue knowledge and to be patient, understanding, and sincere. To actually have a fucking conversation.
This is a marketing holocaust. 24 hours a day. For the rest of our lives, the powers that be are hard at work, dumbing us to death. So, to defend ourselves and fight against assimilating this dullness into our thought processes, we must learn to read, to stimulate our own imaginations, to cultivate our own consciousness, our own belief systems. We all need these skills to defend, to preserve our own minds.
These reductive expressions of speech happen to perfectly accommodate internet mediums, which is most people's primary mode of communication. And Trump has accelerated the process of our discourse to be this reductive. Trump doesn't have any convictions or beliefs. He just rambles whatever he can muster that will get people mad or get the people who already love him to love him more for the sake of attention. He only relies on sensations, absurd spectacle, and the internet to garner relevancy. He only wants attention, and attention is powerful. He's only here to be ironic and tell jokes and to histrionically perform for attention. So I can't say he's evil incarnate, as it requires a certain level of depth to actually believe in something. To do so would be the equivalent of insulting a spoiled, juvenile baby. He's not worth the vitriolic energy. What makes him relevant is what he's emblematic of how Trump is the personification of our current culture and the effects of the internet. When culture is defined by attention, irony, and memes, of course our leader is going to reflect that.
When I was a little boy, there was a class called citizenship. And here are certain things about America and America's history. Here's why it's important to vote. Here's why it's important not just to go in and vote for who the best looking candidate is, because I'm going to sound like my grandfather or something, but the word citizen. The idea of being a citizen would be to understand your country's history and the things about it that are good and not so good and how the system works, and taking the trouble to learn about candidates for political office, which means often reading stuff, which isn't fun. Sometimes it's boring. But when people don't do that, here's what happens. The candidates win who have the most money to buy television advertisements, because television advertisements are all most voters know about the candidates. Therefore, we get candidates who are beholden to large donors and become, in some ways, corrupt, which disgusts the voters and makes the voters even less interested in politics, less willing to read and do the work of citizenship.
We're in a culture where, because we are constantly distracted, we are granted anything we want, anytime we want, all at once, where boredom is an attack on our being and should be treated as something to be avoided at all costs. And Trump, well, he wasn't boring. And we rewarded that. We're all feeding his attention addiction that we have all collectively developed. We're all attention addicts. He has reinforced to big tech and Silicon Valley that this method of engaging in discussion is profitable.
For young people in America, there are very mixed messages from the culture. There's a streak of moralism in American life that extols the virtues of being grown up and having a family and being a responsible citizen. But there's also the sense of do what you want, gratify your appetites, because when I'm a corporation appealing to the parts of you that are selfish and self-centered and want to have fun all the time is the best way to sell you things, right? And it works very well as a system for running an economy and keeping goods produced and sold, and it works wonderfully. The ways in which it doesn't work are much more difficult to talk about.
Since both sides are either shouting or mocking each other, Trump is the perfect fit to revolve around. He empowers the vulgar, transgressive, and conservative crowd who mock and are angry at leftists, and he repulses stubborn, righteous leftists who mock and are angry at conservatives. Trump certainly influenced and mastered operating in this culture, digital mediums, and the discourse through digital mediums, but he certainly didn't create it. He's merely a symptom of the utter narcissism and delusion that plagues the internet. An attention-seeking narcissist with no principles or values who always needs the spotlight on him and thoughtlessly spouts whatever will get him attention, and will be as crude as he can be to get it. He is the avatar, the champion, the king of our current culture that we have helped cultivate. Wait a minute. Am I still talking about Kanye? Trump and Kanye, two sides of the same Bitcoin.
Trump was just such a good precursor to Ye.
I do believe most people are sincerely passionate about values and issues that they are in conflict with one another's and are worth discussing. But we won't get any further when discussing it through reductive digital mediums that prioritize attention, division, and profit. The people on the left and right are performing anger and mockery for validation with those who already agree with them. The biggest and most influential figures of both sides are doing the same exact thing because it's what gets attention. That's why celebrities and culture creators are clinging to streamers. Culture wars are gaining dominance in discourse because it's more addictive and profitable. It's more profitable when we engage with such complex topics on the internet, as it's built to be reductive, shareable, and addictive. It's more profitable when we're divisive and feed into our negativity addiction. People get more engaged that way. If you actually care about tackling and solving issues, you have to recognize that this discourse isn't fucking working. And never will. Nobody's minds will change and systems won't be dismantled by shouting and mocking each other. And every major digital institution is telling you that you should. And I wonder fucking why. Do I even need to say it? I think I've been hammering it home obnoxiously and annoyingly thus far. I hope I'm making it abundantly clear that the problem here isn't Kanye or fucking Trump, but that it's culture. It's our institutions. It's our value system. The polarization the internet has caused is amplifying these issues to an immense degree. I even pressingly made it this far into the video without mentioning the C word, capitalism, and I should be patted for the back for that. But you know what? I'm gonna say it now. Capitalism is the issue. Am I a bread tuber now? Kanye's always been in pursuit of capital. He has a really shallow view on his billionaire status.
You're a billionaire, you can do what the hell you want. I'm just saying you quite understand when you talk about okay.
It's not multi.
You're a multi-billionaire. Okay, well, congratulations. But that doesn't...
But he really forgets that he isn't valuable because he's a billionaire. He's valuable because of what he has offered and given to culture. And now, he's consciously, but selfishly, and thoughtlessly taking from it. It's way easier to destroy and tear something down than actually building something. Fame and wealth grants him access to platforms to spread harmful information, but it doesn't matter as long as it's attention. And in our current value system, attention is supreme. It is the highest value, and nothing comes close to how valued attention is. Even when I claim that Kanye is merely a symptom of the real problem, he still pisses me off. He has no regard for his responsibility as an artist. He uses his platform to shock and express degeneracy. He surrounds himself with hatred and gains some weird, sick gratification from it. Kanye, your whole identity is defined by intentionally attempting to hurt and upset people. Not because of some actual ostensible principle to authenticity, but because people are talking about you, and we will continue to talk about you long after you've passed, because of what you have given to culture and what you have taken from it. Instead of respecting your own position as a famous, wealthy artist and spreading beauty and being responsible toward your community, you have decided to utilize democracy and the medium of art to proliferate ugliness and hatred just so you can ejaculate to your own ego and attention. You have become a complete and utter shell of a person, being surrounded by yes men, sycophants who don't care about you and are taking advantage of you and your mental illness. You are an annoying, reckless, gullible, vapid child with severe and permanent brain damage because you're aiming to overdose on fucking nitrous. It's fucking pitiful.
saved my life, there would have been no Kanye West because my dad was too busy.
Kanye, we love you. You're here for a reason, Kanye.
My daughter! I almost killed my daughter!
But you didn't.
So when did you know you were wrong? Was it afterwards, as you were doing it? When did it strike you, uh-oh?
Like, soon as I gave the mic back to her and then she didn't keep going.
Yeah. Let me ask something. I was fortunate enough to meet your mom and talk with your mom a number of years ago. What do you think she would have said about this?
Hey, mama. I want to scream so loud for you. Because I'm so proud of you. Let me tell you what I'm about to do.
Kanye has gone through a lot. He must be held accountable like anyone else, but we can still acknowledge and understand. And don't conflate acknowledgement and understanding with affirming or excusing.
And that's why you have to say acknowledgement is not affirmation. Things can be explained but not excused. Kanye has done things in the past few years that can be explained but not excused by this.
The car crash, his mother's death, his ex-wife being held at gunpoint, tied down and robbed, his shame for almost aborting one of his children, the divorce, being in the soul-sucking industry with his unstable mental state, his child-and-child essay with his cousin. And I really need to make this fucking known. Stop mocking how weird and gay you think Kanye is, and recognize these were children. You know, people who were exposed to realities that were too early to be properly taught to them, and too young to know what they were truly doing. The subject matter is serious. It's immature at best and repulsive at worst to mock this subject matter in such a reductive and corrosive manner. We need to treat it with the sincerity it deserves, even if Kanye himself does not. I might cut this part out, but I have a personal experience that's similar, but admittedly not to the extent of Kanye's experience. In elementary school, I think 4th grade, me and this other kid at the end of recess, out of curiosity, we pulled down our pants and revealed our genitals to each other. Another kid witnessed it and tattled to the teacher. We got in trouble, and when I was walking down the line to our class, my teacher went close to the side of my face and said, "You shouldn't have pulled down your pants." I was met with shame. We didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't really know how or why it was wrong. Perhaps Kanye is still ruminating on that shame, and has been punishing himself as a response and addiction to shame. Shame is a terrifying monster. A beast that you have yet to forgive. You move farther and farther away from yourself. It intrudes on the ego, and it begins to confuse and define the way you live your life.
Shame creates a sort of magnifying bubble over the ego that distorts how you see yourself and how you see reality.
Kanye is haunted by this. That shame will continue to permeate until treated with the sincerity it deserves. What the rest of us think of his cousin's crime doesn't change how horrifically selfish it is for Kanye to have made a public spectacle of such a loaded mutual trauma without any regard for someone he has only ever mentioned before as a family member he loves and definitely hasn't written off.
Visions of my cousin in the cell really scarred me.
A traumatic experience is an event that doesn't accommodate your story. These experiences don't only inform you of who you are, but also what you may become. You construct a cohesive narrative for yourself, but that traumatic event is in the way of that. It disrupts it. Your identity becomes fractured. You don't understand why this happened. It doesn't make sense to you. That traumatic experience isn't a part of who you think of yourself as. You don't identify with this trauma. I hate that this happened to me. I don't know who I am. I wish to forget this ever happened.
I wish there was some way for us to go back and undo the past. But there wasn't.
I wished with all my heart that we could just leave this world behind, rise like two angels in the night and magically disappear.
Then this gives leeway to suppression, and we all know that the dependable method of suppressing things makes it magically go away forever. Or you can ruminate on these feelings forever, never coming to terms with it, and never changing. The trauma is here to stay, and accepting to reconcile that the trauma is an important part of your identity. While acceptance of the event may sound healthier than the other option of suppression, which is, as you know, known for solving everything ever, by accepting the event, it still keeps you trapped in your trauma, and you're just left with having to relive and recreate it. It keeps you in the past as you let it define you, while your future is left uncertain and undesirable. It rots you from the inside. So what then? What do you do? Besides suppression, which is famously known to be the solution to every problem, we encounter experiences and beliefs that are true and real, but are contradictory to ourselves. But don't discard it. There is still a way to properly integrate them. You aren't compensating anything to make an effort to accommodate these experiences and beliefs. You aren't a binary set of data. We are literally a dynamic, malleable organism. Life is the process, not the achieving of the goal. We aren't defined by reaching toward a static objective, but experiencing the process. What you spend your time on is your life. We are in a constant process of change and revelation, becoming greater and stronger with each passing transfiguration. Trauma is unmoving and unchanging, but you yourself will continue to live, to experience, to evolve. You being here is good. It is right. It is beautiful. With Kanye's personal experiences, he embodies his lack of cohesion in his identity by constantly contradicting himself. He hasn't come to terms with all of the weight he has carried. He isn't properly dealing with his trauma. The entire Cuck album is him complaining about not seeing his kids.
I should have had baby with Paris Hilton.
His nitrous addiction, refusal of psychiatric help, political and bigoted provocation, Nazi references, internet addiction, complaining people don't understand him, paranoia over him getting killed, self-destruction, misogyny, and physical violence against women. And of course, being a cuck. Just to be clear, having a cuckold fetish isn't shameful or embarrassing. What makes it so easy to mock is because people like Kanye and Sneeko are so obviously projecting their shame onto their public identity in the internet red pill culture, thus accentuating the insecurity. The Hail Hitler song is a good example of what the whole album is. The verses are how self-aware he is that he's a bad person and has empty shock value in betwixt. The album is mindless discharge about things that genuinely bother him, that were caused due to his own actions, with transgressive alt-right irony interspersed between the discharge. It's extremely childish. Haha, AI Kanye said a slur in a catchy melody. Whoa. It gives the same energy as Elon laughing at AI audio like a baby.
No, she's just a pain in my ass.
What are you doing?
It lacks any semblance of cohesion. I can't see my kids, so I'm a Nazi. I gave fellatio to my underage cousin. No homo. My nitrous addiction is damaging me. I'm a cucky soy boy. One of my best friends died. He still owes me. Glad he died from cancer. It's the vulgar bluntness of his words that casts this ambiguity between provocation and vulnerability. He's trying to be honest without the sincerity. He's not expressing trauma for art. He's weaponizing trauma for the short-term gratifying boost of the attention drug. It's tasteless. It's clear that he does not take these horrible events seriously, especially his child and child essay. Despite Kanye's recent art being mostly poor in quality, I'm still fascinated by the art. It's particularly Cuck. I see people making the argument that it's actually good art because it is an ugly but honest portrayal of Kanye's feelings. I disagree with the claim of it being good. I think Cuck is really bad. Just because you're speaking your true, raw, unfiltered authenticity, it still doesn't make it good. Is a child's angry paper scribbles with red crayon good art because it was that child's real, authentic feelings? No. It lacks intention and thoughtful communication. The art is of poor quality. Bad conception. But I cannot deny that the album has this disturbing visceral quality to it. It's like looking at a schizophrenic artist's self-portrait slowly deteriorating in quality in audio format. It's a fascinating, bizarre, and disturbing project, of which I can say the exact same about Kanye, so I guess you can call it a success in that aspect. It's emblematic of his current mental state. It feels perverted to witness in real time a person we care about deteriorating before our very eyes and having a mental breakdown from a long line of other breakdowns. I'm listening to the revealing and very public breakdown of the psyche of an important figure in culture in real time, especially when you include the paratextual context outside of the art. With his social media and knowing his history of mental illness and the immense losses across his life. Cuck is completely subsumed in irony, but despite its defiance against sincere vulnerability, it nonetheless still speaks a certain honesty. I acknowledge Kanye has always put a large part of his personality into his art. The Life of Pablo is a good example of this, and the famous track where he insults Taylor Swift. But this time, it's more raw and disturbing. I know that most of it is Dave Blunt's recordings and Kanye AI slapped over it, so you may say it doesn't actually accurately reflect Kanye. Here's my rebuttal. He still chose to specifically release these. Whether or not he's produced, written, or even heard any of it, it still reveals the sloppiness and callousness as an artist and even as a person. This is Kanye's mental state. And this time, it may be irreversible. Kanye oscillates between these two sides that seem diametrically opposed to each other, an ambivalent element that seems to be becoming more apparent as his career continues. This may sound fucked up and possibly dangerous rhetoric, but it's truly fascinating how, as morbid as this sounds, his bipolar disorder is what defines his music, his career, his artistry, and probably as a person. Kanye's fame allows him access to an exorbitant amount of resources and has decided to use that to never confront his mental health or confront his deepest flaws, giving leeway to others to exploit him. And it creates this whole ugly cycle. Kanye's main associates are a lolcow rapper, a white supremacist, a mixed white supremacist, and a guy who produced this.
Always, like a
The Dream Team. His best friends are right-wing grifters, a shit poster, and a shit producer.
Real friends, how many of us? How many of us?
As of recording this, apparently Dave Blunt and Kanye have broken up unceremoniously, which is unfortunate. I'm gonna miss this dynamic duo. Kanye doesn't take his life seriously, or rather, he disconnects with himself for this grand performance art. He views his life as a performance art.
Like, this is the whole kind of trick that I pulled on everyone to like make them think that I was a rapper or musician or celebrity when, you know, the entire time it's all been like a giant art project, or life has just been like a art project in some way.
And he's going to keep being more and more extreme until he finally gives out. Everything he does is just this grand art piece to him. So it doesn't matter what he does is erratic and harmful to others, because it's art. It's for the sake of art. I don't think Kanye is serving art the best he can. As much as it is him sharking the responsibility of what it means to be a culturally influential artist of elite position with a false veil of, it's all art, man. Are these performative yet dangerous antics actually still extensions of his art? When your antics overshadow the actual intentional art, it stops being a compelling blend between art and performance and just begins to be you being a jackass. I don't trust you method actors. There still needs to be accountability involved. It's not solely mental illness.
Blame it on my autism, blame it on the nitrous.
There's this urge of self-destruction he has. Like, he wants someone to just stop him. And I know people think he's just too much of a narcissist to commit suicide and is only doing it for attention and doing a boy who cried wolf act, but he's still a person, and this behavior, whether he means it or not, is still immensely concerning. He's crying for help, yet he refuses it. He looks to the reductive and toxic environment that is social media for some level of connection. But a faceless digital audience won't save you. We can't be your family. We can't be your therapist. We also have to admit that we are part of the problem. We were okay with his harmful antics because the music was still good. Until his music started to falter, everyone gave him a pass. Yeah, he's an asshole, but the music's good. We wanted him to stay ill. We reinforced this harmful notion of suffering breeds creativity. That's some accountability we need to take. Kanye knows he's acting childish and belligerent, and the worst part is, he doesn't care. He's also too fried from the nitrous to even notice. But I don't want to think of him as a lost cause, but there's only so much anyone can do, let alone some random guy on the internet psychoanalyzing a mentally ill celebrity. But me and a lot of other people have already let go of him, as sympathetic as we are toward him. So, I don't know. I really don't know. How do you tackle the issues that come with the art and the artist, especially in this day and age? I don't know. We don't get to choose the art that emotionally affects us and its creators. Whether it's a musician, director, writer, actor, or whatever that you love and important in your life history, you are at odds with your heart because its creator is incredibly flawed or possibly evil. This is an issue most of us have collectively experienced for ages, that's been even more emphasized by the internet. But you can still appreciate the beauty of the art, even if the artists themselves don't live up to that beauty. It's okay, but it's still always your prerogative if you disavow the art and cannot experience it the same way. That is okay. You aren't an evil person for choosing either path. For me, I rather want good art that came from a questionable place or with messages I don't particularly agree with than someone creating bad or mediocre art. And don't take that as an excuse to groom and dismember a child in your Tesla and reference it through your art. Despite what a lot of people tell you, art lives through the context. It's still the artist's mind and body that was able to create it. We shouldn't willingly become delusional and aloof to the reality around the arts just so we can conveniently consume the art without feeling guilty. We can acknowledge J.K. Rowling as a transphobic, spiteful, petty bitch, and love the world that she has manifested into our reality and collective consciousness. Two things can be true at the same time. Morrissey comforted those who felt outcast. He lent his own voice to outsiders that made them finally feel seen for the first time. And now he's saying Chinese people are subhuman for not being vegan. Ouch. But like I said, you can still appreciate the resonant beauty of the art, even if the artists themselves don't live up to that beauty. Respect the person you were at that moment. Don't let them take that away from you. I'm happy with the art Kanye has given to the world. I don't wish for it to not exist. I wouldn't shame anyone who is still listening to him, and I do still want the future youth to experience his art. Regardless of your opinion, Kanye is an important, influential artist in music history with immense creativity, ambition, and talent. But Kanye now, the art isn't good. It hasn't been good for a while. And I currently find him as a person repulsive and odious. Despite my apparent anger toward him, it still hurts and I still want the best for him. But as I've mentioned earlier, that's the problem. We can't simply just shrug off the artist's behavior off just because the art is currently good. I think the phrase separating the art from the artist is reductive or even a wrong mantra to sustain. It reads more like willful ignorance. I think it's more accurate to say, acknowledge the excellent craftsmanship when you see it and always hold the creator responsible. It needs to be nuanced. I've been watching old clips of him, revisiting his music, and I find myself being enchanted again. The cathartic euphoria of Ghost Town, the visceral emotion and honesty of Runaway, the psychedelic soothing of the soul of Reborn. I remembered why I fell in love with him in the first place, rediscovering my endearment and appreciation for him, and then getting frustrated at myself for like the 500th time. Because, like it or not, these are the same people. This is the same person. A large part of why I loved his music and by extension his personality was that he and his music possessed this childlike quality that you couldn't help but be charmed by. But then you see the more harmful and darker side of his behavior with his relationship with porn and his contrarian rebellious streak. And then it reveals itself to you. His art retains such childlike quality because Kanye never grew up. And it caught up to him. We want to see him in a genuinely graceful light, but we just want him to be something he never was. Kanye contributed to the process of shaping my identity. And now, my memories and my character are being attacked because of him. someone I gave my heart to. So what's the point in me drawing more attention and talking about him? If he saw me, the first thing he would say to me would be the F slur and call me broke. Why am I giving him what he wants? Why am I spending time talking about him? Because I care. Because I know how much Kanye cares about the topic of mental illness. I know how much Kanye cares about art and understands art and excellent craftsmanship. I do too. And again, as embarrassing as this is to say out loud, he was like a father figure to me once. No matter how much I let go, it doesn't change the fact that Kanye and his art has already affected me. He was still instrumental in the development of my identity and formative, pivotal experiences. And nothing can take that away from me. Because it's true. There's this YouTube comment I saw. I copy and pasted it in my script, but unfortunately I can't find it again. But it summarized all of this quite profoundly. This is the same disillusionment we tend to have about our parents. Because we grow with them, we begin to see their flaws and shortcomings and learn that they are just human. The problem is, these musicians, writers, comics artists become the pseudo-parent in many people's minds. They were the ones who lived up to those young, naive ideals. They were the ones that we allowed ourselves to believe in unconditionally because their art validated us. But art is just the best of what they release. They, like our parents, are just human and are just as, if not more, flawed. This is a second shattering. One of the reasons people seem so jaded and apathetic online. We realize everyone has shitty aspects, so we damn the whole species instead of focusing on the positive and trying to be better ourselves. This feels like the real death of my childhood. I remember being 13, listening to Graduation and researching Takashi Murakami and soaking up the creative inspiration like a sponge. And now that well of creativity has been replaced by just empty, meaningless, banal cruelty. That's really what growing up feels like sometimes. Kanye was my favorite artist. It's like when you lose touch with someone you value or the relationship slowly kills itself. And then you realize after that they aren't a good person. They gave you life experiences that are sacred to you, and you love them fondly. But you know still holding on to this same person will degrade your soul. You're still grateful for the experience and hold it in such regard. But the person themselves is almost like a separate entity. They gave you a resonant, beautiful experience, but the individual doesn't live up to that beauty they created. But you still cherish and love them and the experiences they have shared with you nonetheless. And then you will leave and know that you have loved so much. And there is so much more waiting to be experienced, aching to experience you. Kanye, I truly hope you find it within your soul to relieve your shame and to realize commitment to family and community, to take the step for healing, humility, and forgiveness. Anyway, Dokshi, call me. This Reddit post brought something to my attention, where this user recognized the similarities between Kanye and Pink from the Pink Floyd album, Pink Floyd, The Wall, and movie. The main character, Pink, is a music superstar that has a wall in his head. That's like a border in his mind, and as a reaction to abandonment and his further isolation. The problems where he creates for himself and outside of himself are more bricks on the wall, keeping him from the people he needs and values, themes of strained relationships with women, deep connection to his mother, drug addiction. He even has a fascist arc. And then he feels shame and he puts himself on trial before his inner judge to take responsibility. The judge orders him to tear down the wall as punishment for his actions, which will finally open himself to others and bring him closer to himself. But the album was made as a loop, so the last track seamlessly transitions to the first track, implying how it's a cycle bound to be repeated again and again. That's so Kanye! There wasn't really a point to this section. I just thought it was interesting and kind of funny.